secret religious group known as the Family, is most famous in U.S. politics for operating the C Street House in Washington, which was tied to three conservative Republican political sex scandals this year. But the Family's reach extends well beyond Washington and even well beyond the United States. As documented in Jeff Charlotte's book-length expose of the Family, the group also recruits and cultivates powerful people in other countries as force-magnifying influence extenders for the network of Americans in the Family, and to spread the group's controversial theology of power, which you wouldn't recognize in any mainstream American Christian church, trust me. The Family's main outpost in Africa has long been the nation of Uganda, where the country's president for life, Yoweri Museveni, is said to be a member of the Family, as is the legislator David Bahati, who introduced legislation this year that's earned some worldwide attention. It's legislation that would sentence people to life imprisonment or even to death for the crime of being gay. Since we have been covering this story, a number of American members of the Family have decided to issue statements opposing the proposed law. They include Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, Oklahoma Senators James Inhofe and Tom Coburn, and Congressman Joe Pitts and Bart Stupak. American megachurch pastor Rick Warren, who also has extensive ties to Uganda and to proponents of the Kill the Gays bill, also condemned the legislation last week after initially saying he wouldn't. Then late on Friday, the White House issued a statement against the legislation, saying, quote, "The president strongly opposes efforts such as the draft law pending in Uganda that would criminalize homosexuality and move against the tide of history." We got a bit further today with the spokesman for the National Security Council, who added this, quote, "At this point, we've expressed our concerns at the highest levels of the Ugandan government, and we continue to raise our concerns in our ongoing dialogue with our Ugandan counterparts." The chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Senator John Kerry, also weighed in this afternoon with his own statement condemning the proposed law. What's the result of this flurry of American objections to the Kill the Gays bill in this other country? Remains to be seen. The Sunday Observer newspaper in Britain reporting that the bill has been presented to Parliament in Uganda, that it is expected to be debated within 2 weeks, and that it is expected to become law by February. Contrary to earlier hopes, the death penalty has not been removed from this proposed legislation. The legislator who introduced the bill telling reporters, quote, "We are not going to yield to any international pressure." We, of course, will stay on this story since it keeps not going away. One way we'll be able to stay on this story is if people keep asking people in power about it. Blogger Mike Stark of StarkReports.com this weekend caught up with 3 conservative senators who are members of the Family to ask them about the bill. Senator Inhofe reiterated to Mike his opposition to the bill, but Mr. Stark was also able to get on the record 2 more Family senators who had not previously commented on it. And one of them, John Ensign, was probably just happy to have someone asking him about anything at all other than the fallout from his own big embarrassing sex scandal.
You know, even if you disagree with the way that somebody lives, okay, you don't, I mean, to do what Uganda is doing, I think that, you know, most reasonable people would agree that that's pretty outrageous to do what they're doing.
There's a story being reported, Rachel Maddow's all over it, about Uganda. Uganda.
You know, I saw a piece of that on her show when I was working out last night, but I haven't followed it. I know she's covering it, but I don't know what it is.
Well, there's legislation before their parliament that would criminalize homosexuality. It started out, the penalty was up to and including the death penalty. Do you think it's appropriate to criminalize homosexual conduct anymore?
Yeah, I don't know the specifics of the bill, and I've learned too. You need to know what's actually.
Oh, just in general terms.
Well, I'm not going to comment in abstract on something.
All right. Well, thanks, Senator.
Senator Brownback will not comment on the bill or even on the general idea of the death penalty for gay people. Now we know. But now we also know that Senator Brownback watches this show while he works out. Hi, Senator Brownback. You look great. Now that I know you're here, I feel like we have so much to talk about.